MCC Just Motos.
I'm behind a van right now. I'm not drafting. I just pulled up behind the van. I wanted to talk about drafting a little bit. Drafting, you save a ton of juice on your battery. See ya, I'm just passing the van. I told you I'd be cleaner, and I am. Maintaining, probably I was able to skirt around that traffic pretty easy. Maintaining about 72. Okay. So I'm going to talk about drafting and the benefits and the risks, and I'm never advocating for it. This is something that as a hypermiler you should look into. But I was really interested. Everyone's like, that's the worst idea ever. That's a great way to save fuel, but it's also a great way to kill yourself by tucking in behind a vehicle. And I understand why people say that. The rule in driving is you want to stay 1 second for every 10 miles per hour behind a vehicle, right? That's what they say. However, motorcycles definitely have a little bit better braking characteristics and can brake quicker than cars if you're paying attention. People say that drafting is really dangerous because something behind us, like if you're behind a semi or a van, they can run over something, you can't see it, and you can run into you. B, they say, hey, if a semi slams on its brakes and you're drafting, you're gonna crash into it and die. Okay. So great arguments, right? And I'm not saying they're not right, but what I did is I looked at all the different research I could find about drafting and hypermiling, and you know what I found? Almost nothing. Okay, there aren't any studies besides people just saying it's dangerous out there. People gave me a link to a 100 vehicle study saying, hey, tailgating is dangerous, it's much more risky. I think it was a 2006 something 2007 study, and I'm going to put a link to that. That study is the only one I've been able to see, but you know what it takes into account? It doesn't take into account tailgating, and it shows that they couldn't even find vehicles that had ran into other vehicles. They were only, of the 100 vehicle study, they were only able to find 27 that ran into other vehicles, and only 6 of those ran into a moving vehicle. The rest all ran into a parked vehicle. Okay, what that tells me is that there's just not much data out there, or it's not as dangerous as people think. Those are the two scenarios that I think of. And here's why I think it might actually be not as dangerous as people say. And again, I'm not saying don't do anything you're not comfortable with, but keep in mind, so as a motorcycle rider, you ride with your hand on the brake, or you can ride with your hand on the brake and gas at the same time. When I am hypermiling, including drafting, I am at a razor's edge focus on the vehicle in front of me. I'm hyper focused and I'm ready. It's exhausting because I'm so ready. You know, I spent years as a fighter pilot, where you have to be ready at a moment's notice, and it's exhausting. So, you know, I don't know if that's a special skill set or whatever. Maybe all motorcycles have it. Maybe some people are more predispositioned to have it. I don't know. Being hyper-focused is a huge factor in staying safe. Having your hand covering the brake, being ready to brake at a moment's notice. Besides, I guarantee you, if a semi slams on the brakes, factoring in the difference of the reaction time if I'm hyper-focused on the vehicle in front of me, and how much quicker I could brake on a motorcycle, especially Del Mar, I'm not too worried about it. I've never felt uncomfortable. And I've had slam on the brakes, and guess what? They take a lot more time to brake than a motorcycle does. Is there an extra risk factor? Of course. Now, talk about running over something. I've rarely seen a semi run over something in the road. I've seen them hit on the brakes and maybe run over something, but that gives you an opportunity to hit on your brakes as well too. Let's talk about a tire coming off. Tires coming off don't come straight behind you, they come to the side. So if you're tucked in behind a semi and a tire comes off, it's going to come to the side. A blowout, you know, that kind of stuff. Now what you will notice is there are a lot more chances to get rocks thrown at you. or a little bit more chance. But what I've noticed is if when you're hypermiling, if there's rocks and debris, they're at a much lower place. They're at a much lower place that they come at you at. They don't have a chance to have the trajectory to come up at higher face level, shoulder level. They're usually at my shins or feet. So, is hypermiling more dangerous? I don't know. I don't see the data that supports that. If you have data that supports that, let me know.